Bad Philosophy Classes Company presents You've Completely Misunderstood John Locke on Primary and Secondary Qualities. John Locke, British philosopher who distinguished between primary and secondary qualities as part of his theory of perception. Wait, why am I reading this? Hang on.
And secondary as part of 1589 as part British philosopher who distinguished between primary and secondary qualities as part of his theory of perception in his essay concerning human understanding in 1689. He argued that primary qualities such as size, shape, motion, and number exist objectively in the material world and are independent of our perception. In contrast, secondary qualities like color, taste, sound, and smell do not exist in objects themselves, but arise from the interaction between our senses and the object's primary qualities. For Locke, secondary qualities are merely the subjective effects objects produce in our minds. This distinction was groundbreaking because it separated the objective world from the subjective experience of it, challenging earlier notions that sensory qualities existed inherently in things. His theory deeply influenced later philosophers such as Berkeley and Hume, who debated and refined the implications of Locke's account of perception and reality.
Well, gosh, that was a weird ending. I don't know why it slowed down so much. The whole thing, I don't know what was going on. It's 2025. How come you don't know how to use ChatGPT? Kenny, was the artist Kesha involved in... The crazy thing was, I could have sworn I saw a fox run through that in all the confusion. Anyway, let's keep going with John Locke, though. Locke's distinction between primary and secondary properties. Primary qualities are those properties in physical objects that resemble our ideas of them. Primary qualities include size, shape, and motion. Those qualities are really in the objects. Here, Ted's idea or experience of the apple is the same shape as the apple. You can see the idea in Ted's mind and the apple itself. They're both apple-shaped. Secondary qualities are those properties in physical objects that cause us to have ideas that don't resemble the objects. Secondary qualities include colors, tastes, and smells. Here, the apple's structure causes Ted to color code his idea of the apple in red. But the apple itself is colorless. The red sensation that Ted experiences isn't out there in the real world. It's just in Ted. The world itself, as God sees it, if God sees things the way they really are, according to Locke, is translucent. That is, without color, like these plastic bottles. Gosh, think if everything was like the plastic bottle, had that lack of color. We probably couldn't even get to the parking lot from a room, because everything would look just alike. You couldn't distinguish the foreground from the background. Why do Twinkies taste sweet? Locke's answer: the Twinkie rubs against your tongue. This sends a signal to your brain, which causes you to have the sensation of sweetness. But the sweetness is not really in the Twinkie, it is in you. Locke's main argument: secondary qualities aren't in the objects. The great pain or inconsistency argument. Premise 1. When you touch a really cold snowball and experience a pain idea, you admit the pain is not really in the snowball. Premise 2. When you touch a snowball and experience coldness, you receive your idea of cold in exactly the same way you'd receive the idea of pain. You just reach out and touch the snow. Conclusion: therefore, when you touch a snowball and experience coldness, you should admit that the cold isn't really in the snowball. The coldness is just a sensation that like pain, only exists in you. When you put your bare hand in snow, you feel cold, and if you leave it there, pain. But the snow itself does not have the sensation of cold. How could it? It has no nervous system. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. Snow pain, down, down, down. The second Lockean argument we'll look at is the perceptual variation argument against secondary qualities in objects. Premise 1. Suppose whatever degree of hot or cold we perceive really is in the object. Premise 2. The water in a tub can feel hot to one hand and cold to the other at the same time. Premise 3. So, by premise 1 and premise 2, the water in the tub really is both hot and cold at the same time. Premise 4. But P3 is absurd. Water can't be both hot and cold at the same time in the same place. Conclusion. Therefore, we must reject the P1 assumption. Properties of hot and cold are not in the water. They're just sensations in us as well. Here's an example of that. In this scene, Greg and Whitmore are both in Greg's swimming pool. Now, Whitmore was in the pool first, so she got used to it, and so to her it feels like bath water. But when Greg came to the pool, he said, "Is it cold?" And Whitmore said, "No, it feels fine," because she was tricking him. So Greg jumped in the water, and look, he's freezing cold. It feels cold to him, but lukewarm to Whitmore, but they're in the same water. That means the sensation of cold or lukewarm is not in the water itself. The water's just molecules in motion. That's what determines, that's the objective fact about the water for John Locke. The sensation of warm or cold is just in us. Why do you think you keep turning up the heat on your shower? It's because the sensation of warmth you get from the water in the shower is subjective. It's not really in the water. What's in the water are molecules, and if those molecules are moving fast, when they bump against your skin, it makes it feel warmer. If they're moving slow, it feels cold against your skin. It's just like an allergic reaction you have to particles in motion. Now, in one of the Barkley videos coming up, and it is pronounced Barkley. Berkeley is in California. Barkley's dead, mother. No, but Barkley's great insight about Locke's perceptual variation argument is coming up in one of the Barkley videos. So, anyway, you'll see that soon. That's just the tease for what's yet to come.